are not looped. So when you have a long 6-inch line, you're not going to have the flow that you would have with an 8-inch. Now, if a 6 was looped through there, you might have better flows for that. But without it being looped and the fact they're all dead-end lines means you're going to have just a longer, more friction loss.
Hmm. So where are we? Where are we at?
Okay.
Does that kind of answer your question?
What's that?
Does that answer your question a little bit?
Somewhat, but what you're saying is you don't want to use that 6-inch line from the booster pump over to the junction going up to the tower.
Yeah, it just won't enable the system to meet minimum requirements in that 20-year future look ahead.
Well,
Right.
And I think we have to plan for the future. We can't just ignore that there won't be any growth.
That's how you get to where you're at right now, where you've got so many things that have been deferred because nobody wanted to do the work. And
Right.
So, yes, I think it's a really valid point to go, yes, we have to think of the future. I'm looking at this picture here of a lot of bare land.
Yep.
And if those landowners decided to split, that area would see a lot more use.
Yeah,
And I know growth is a hard thing to wrap our heads around. Nobody wants it, but it is a fact that our area is one of the fastest growing spaces in the nation.
now where would the source of water come from going up there?
I'm going to comment to what both Ted and Katie just said, and as you see that big area of land, that's the Hanson property. And one of the things they're doing right now, they are starting to split, but the connection is coming down below the lime kiln booster station, and they're running their lines up, and so that's coming off of our 6-inch line. The reason they're doing that is because the only other option is to come off of Cape Horn Road and closing it, and the highway district says absolutely not. You're not doing it. You're not closing Cape Horn Road to do any kind of tie-ins to any mains up there. So it's got to come down just below lime kiln, and then they'll have their connection. If you see where it says valving and controls and improvements there, where that arrow is, you drop down about 75 feet from there on the purple line, just a little bit farther down. No, other way. Yep, right there. They're
Right
going
there.
a little bit higher in between, just up above there. And then they would tie in and and we'd have a tie-in of multiple connections there that would then feed the properties they would subdivide up in there. We're talking about that even for next spring, because they're adding one home. We may actually have stub outs for 4 for the future development. So the point is for that open land there, the development is going to come from off of Limekiln, because we cannot close down Cape Horn Road. Our main is right under the road, and they don't want us to close it down because that's the only access in and out of Cape Horn.
Yeah.
So that's you're figuring on the water coming from just before it gets to the Limekiln booster station.
That is correct.
And then taking a 8-inch line up to the booster station, the Dromore booster station, eliminating that wouldn't be a booster station anymore, but eliminating that and taking it on over to the junction, or would you go all the way to the end of Duwamish?
And then add to that one of the things we need to keep in mind is whatever we do, we're most likely going to have to put the main somehow on the side of Cape Horn Road because of traffic control. They've made it very clear we cannot close it down. Even if putting in a new line, we'd have to figure out some type of traffic control. And that would, as Kyle was being conservative on his estimates, I could see how that could add up the cost per foot, although the difference between 6 and 8 is not as great as it possibly could be. But there's going to be a lot of construction costs in there with traffic control.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
okay, go ahead.
So where are we now? Are we not
Okay. All right.
going to do Ted's proposal, or
And then,
we're not?
I ran a deal on the GSI, and I happened to see that there was a area there for complaints as far as water pressure and so forth, and most of the complaints were We're in the, of course, around the Dromore area, but also, also, yeah, you got a complaint there. Over on the options on the layers, you can put in a deal for complaints. There you go.
Are you talking about up on the
Yeah, where there's
northwest side? The northwest, Ted? By the
yeah,
post
let's see.
office?
Yeah. No, well, no, it's on. Let's see. Yeah, the complaints. Yeah, you got them there. Okay, you can see where most of the complaints are, and they don't seem to be over in the area of
That one, Arapahoe.
Perimeter Road. They don't seem to be in the area of Perimeter Road. They seem to be there's a few of them in what we call the Heights, the upper area. There's 4 of them there, but then there's one right behind Ralph's, and then it starts off at then it starts off at Limekill Booster Station, and it goes east. But some of those aren't due to lack of pressure or water. But anyway,
Well,
whatever.
down where you are right now, we were going to address that with some looping, weren't we, Kyle?
Yeah, so one of the things, and Katie, I'm glad you're on this call. So regardless of whether we proceed with that 12-inch main around the west side of town, or we look at doing that booster station improvements there, regardless, a 6-inch or an 8-inch line from your 6-inch to here, and from here to here needs to be incorporated for both solutions to work, and that's these blue lines.
Right.
That's kind of like, that's bringing that whole concept back to what was previously done, kind of that backbone of getting pressures and flows over to the Dromore area, is having kind of that connectivity and line sizes in that area. So regardless of what alternative or route, basically what I'm seeing right now is I do believe that both these lines need to be incorporated with your improvements.
Right.
That'll improve looping, that'll improve pressure, that'll improve flows for the entire area.
So Kyle, my question is, if we eliminate the 12-inch line along the west side, then is this going to be as expensive, this other fix that you're doing?
Yeah, so where we're at is this solution was approximately, it saved, I forget, about $500,000 in capital costs.
Uh-huh.
And then when you throw in the operational, it's maybe, the O&M associated with that over 20 years, it's maybe $300,000 to $400,000 savings. So yes, this option's more affordable than the 12-inch around the west side of town. That's based on our evaluation, our opinion.
Okay.
But we're still over budget. So.
And maybe not, Colleen, maybe not, because what you can see here, I've added in that other line from the junction to the tank that you guys expressed.
Yeah.
We're at 3.4, and I believe you guys went out to bond, was it 3.3?
Yeah. 3.39, I think.
Any grant dollars you guys get puts it right there. Let's say if Army Corps came in, they were able to provide some money, or if DEQ, because of potentially some stimulus funds for 2021 comes back and they're able to maybe add additional grant dollars on a loan, because I know Katie can do that. Maybe that's pretty close.
Yeah, that's just going to to get us to get on and try and get grant dollars. We're gonna have to.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if we were to keep what was originally proposed and then add in those 2 lines that need to be incorporated that I showed you for the looping, and then added in that other line to the tank,
Right.
we're even almost 4 million. So, it's a couple $100,000 more, and that one's, obviously with the budget pinch that you're in, that one's less attainable right now based on the funding that you have.
No, and I think we've all decided that's not the way to go. We don't want the 12-inch line around the end of town, so.
Yeah.
And I do just want to stress, while Katie's on, because Katie was pretty involved with this on the development, there's, a lot of benefits with having this 12-inch line. Number one, it kind of creates a backbone to your system. Number two, any growth that you guys have out here to the west, this is really going to make things easy to catapult off of that, from that perimeter drive extension to the west. There's some benefits with that. But if we're focused purely on trying to reduce costs, especially the capital costs, the alternative we develop does just that, in our opinion.
So, Kyle, let me ask you this, because this is like way over my head, but it's a simple question. If you do the fix that we want to do, that you have proposed, and down the road that west side starts to develop, can you then add in a 12-inch line like 20 years from now?
I think it kind of goes back to my comment. With these improvements, we have really good pressures over by the post office. Because what we're going to do, we're going to change some of it. We're going to increase the pressures in this whole area west, specifically west and east of Drillmore area. And your pressures are going to be quite a bit higher than they currently are now. So I don't think an 8-inch would go a long ways over there. I guess it just depends how much demand and how far we're extending it. What I could do is just really quickly jump in there in the model and show, hey, if we were to extend an 8-inch, 1,000 feet to the west and put 50 houses on it, what's that going to do to the pressures? I could do that and kind of give you an answer, but I think to some degree that's going outside of your facility plan. In the facility plan, there wasn't any, the district didn't want to plan for future connections outside of the boundary. So we kind of almost...
Right. Well, most of that is parkland, Kyle. Other than that development that, they sent us the service letter on and then they changed their mind. Yeah, sometime down the road, I think, Jesse, was that 52 houses?
26.
Yeah.
26. But other than that, that's all parkland.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
Well, and other than on the other side of perimeter.
yeah, other side of perimeter's possibility. Yeah.
So, Kyle, you think if we just do the fix that you've proposed and don't worry about the 12-inch line, then we're planning for the future, which is good, with your 8-inch lines, and we don't necessarily have to worry about planning for the future for the west side.
Well, here's the thing, Allie. We came up with a solution based on your facility plan. And the facility plan didn't look at growth outside of your boundary on the west side.
Yeah.
So the only thing we did was exactly what you guys made a comment. Hey, Kyle, what does it look like by the post office if we have 26 houses?
Yeah.
We ran the model for that 20-year look ahead. And there's enough pressure, there's enough flow, so we're taking care of it there. I think, and hopefully, I don't want to read that whole facility because you guys have already spent so much time in that.
Right. Oh, I think this is a good fix, what you proposed. I think the west side is something that maybe down the road in 50 years they might develop it, but then by then they're going to have to look at a new plan.
Well, and maybe to your point, Ally, when that goes to development, maybe there's a reevaluation of a tank location, and then if the pressures aren't meeting their future demands, maybe they're looking at adding a tank and a booster station, and then that's their deal.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
And I'm going to circle back to your original question as well, that I believe I understood correctly. You're asking if we postpone the 12-inch backbone main, can we do it at a future time? Yes, absolutely. Making the decisions now to forego that doesn't stop you from doing it in the future.
Right. Which I think that's a good plan.
So
And
It may be worthwhile to put it in the meeting minutes or something, that if a developer came in and wanted those 50 homes over there, you can say, yes, we'll serve you if you put in this line.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And they would
You have the authority to do that.
Yeah.
That's spot on, Katie. And this is what's so important for your guys' facility plans is even if there's a project you don't really want to do, but you understand the value of it, it's shown in your facility plan, because then you really have something to hold developers accountable to making those improvements. Because if you put that in there, it's really difficult to kind of validate that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Our last conversation that we had with Doug Landwehr, that if there's a 75-foot easement on the west side of the creek, that his development would not be viable. And I think there is a 75-foot easement on the west side of the creek and not a 25-foot easement. And so, that there may be a few houses in there, but I don't think the 24 homes are going to be viable. We have to stay 75 feet from the creek.
No.
So I think we're all kind of in agreement that the 12-inch line is out, and the proposal that Kyle set before us is a viable proposal.
Katie, how do you feel about where we are as long as we get those 2 sections of leaky pipe done and addressing the other pressure and flow issues that Kyle has here?
As long as the improvements bring the entire district up to the required by the rules and the flows that are required by the rules and fire flow, I can't insert my judgment there. I'm professionally bound not to.
Okay.
So if it works to meet the rules, which are the minimum requirements for your system, then it meets the rules.
Okay.
Got it.